The young and the restless put aside some of its corporate shenanigans last week long enough to give us a good old-fashioned showdown between an overprotective mother and her son's former fling. In other words, they gave us a soap opera. Was Audra truly going to go over to the bar and apologize to Kyle for her machinations in France and for conspiring with Victor to bring Kyle down? We'll never know, because Kyle, who had had one too many drinks, came over to Audra and Sally and attempted to tell the former off. Sally attempted to play referee, but there was no stopping the plays once they were in action. Kyle and Audra were about to turn hate sex into an Olympic sport, the way they were hurling cruel remarks back and forth at each other. If the jazz club likely didn't have a rule against its patrons mud wrestling right in the middle of the room, Kyle and Audra probably would have ended up doing it. As it was, they were verbally slinging mud at each other. Kyle pointed out to Audra that Nate kicked her to the curb. Audra threw in Kyle's face that he was a nepo baby and was in the process of losing Claire to Holden. Part of us had 3 words to say: kiss, kiss, kiss. There does seem to be a lot of sexual tension between these two, right? Fortunately, or unfortunately, if you're a fan of fighting, Jack and Diane, Kyle's parents, entered and got their son out of harm's way. Diane stuck around to give Audra a piece of her mind, but the former Vibrante founder didn't take Diane's attacks lying down. Unfortunately, anyone who wants to after Diane is always going to have one tool in his or her arsenal. Diane faked her death and abandoned her son for years. It wasn't really her choice, technically. A regime opted to write Diane out, killing her, which a subsequent regime overturned by saying that she'd faked her death. Diane's worked overtime to make up for the years she stayed away from Kyle by keeping a close eye on him. Later, Diane regretted getting down and dirty with Audra, but she admitted she enjoyed doing so at the same time. We'd love to see more of these types of scenes. The endless business alliances, ending and starting up again, often have us running to grab our scorecards so we can keep track of who is partnering with whom. Billy's in bed with Kane? Wait, he's not. Michael's acting as a double agent, right? Maybe not. Mothers not getting along with the former girlfriends of their sons is a soap opera staple. Remember Mary Williams not caring much for Lauren Fenmore when she was with her son Paul? She preferred that nice girl, Lynn, who was Paul's secretary. Jill Foster Abbott had disdain for upstart Nina Webster even before she bedded her son Philip. Watching Diane square off against Kyle's ex, Audra, was the highlight of the week. Characters trying to get along can be pretty dramatic too. A lot happened in the business world in Genoa City this week. Get out those previously mentioned scorecards, folks! Billy told Jack he wanted to mend fences with the Abbott clan, and together they could go up against Kane. Diane was cautious about this, given Billy's volatile nature. Kane not only cut ties with Billy, but he also got rid of Michael. The lawyer had planned to infiltrate Kane's inner circle and report back to Victor. This would have hampered Kane's plan to illegally use AI software to take over all the businesses in Genoa City. But it also may have prompted Victor to welcome Michael back into the fold as a surrogate member of the Newman clan. Was Kane really not using any of his advanced technology to keep tabs on the people he may consider chess pieces in Genoa City? He had plenty of secret cameras in Nice, France, when he was keeping an eye on his guests. Did he not know that Michael booked it over to Victor at Newman Enterprises after one of their meetings? Maybe he did. After a conversation with Michael, Kane decided to send him packing. So, on top of telling Billy to get lost, Kane's also told Michael to take a hike. This leaves him with Amanda and Phyllis. The biggest shock came when Jack went over to see Victor and Nikki. Oh, sure, the door's on the other side, but that doesn't matter much. Anyway, Jack came over and suggested a truce with Victor so that they could take Kane down together. Victor's not opposed to the idea, and in the category of great minds think alike, both Jack and Victor realized the key to beating Kane is to go after him emotionally. Jill Foster Abbott is the person they need to reach out to. Kane pretended to be the real Philip, who was switched at birth, only that was all exposed when Philip came back from the dead and revealed he was gay and living his best life in Australia. He'd faked his death so he could live the life he wanted to. Kane carried around vials of blood in a mini cooler in case he had to do an emergency blood test. We still wish Philip had been referenced after Chance's death, since Chance was his son. We also wish that Chance hadn't been killed. But we digress. Still, if you're going to kill someone, well, the impact of the death should be emotionally milked for every single penny it is worth. Maybe we'll get lucky, and Nina will come back to Genoa City for Cricket and Danny's wedding in November. Then, she can rip into Kane and blast him for hiring an unbalanced soul like Carter, who went above and beyond his duties as Kane's faithful servant. Tracy's return is shining a new light on Kane. The controlling billionaire can't be all bad if Tracy likes you, right? It was great hearing that Tracy is working with a great therapist in New York who is helping her get her life together. Maybe she could recommend her therapist to Claire, who seems to be having trouble getting her life together. It was great fun getting to vote on which gown Cricket will wear on her wedding day. Viewers not only got to narrow it down from 3 to 2 choices, but from 2 to the winning choice. Isn't social media great? In the olden days, the gowns would have had to have been offered far in advance so that people could have mailed in their choices to the Y&R studios and then have that mail tabulated. We're wondering if we could vote on who will attend the wedding. In addition to Nina, we'd like to see Gina, Danny's sister Scotty, Cricket's nephew, and yes, even Phyllis. The fiery redhead is definitely going to add some drama to the big day. Is she still in love with Danny? Probably not, but why should that stop her from ruining Christine's big day? Claire hit the nail on the head when she told her mother, Victoria, that she wasn't sure that she even wanted to work it out with Kyle. That's certainly what her behavior is indicating. Claire has pushed Kyle away, accusing him of wanting to distract her from their real problems by offering to take her to France. This is, of course, the wrong thing. How it's the wrong thing? Well, we're not really sure. But it's the wrong thing. Careful, Kyle. Don't do anything too crazy, like, oh, we don't know, buying Claire an expensive purse. That was the beginning of the end of your relationship with Sasha, remember? The fact that Claire was even considering going to Los Angeles with Holden should tell her and everyone that she needs to stop seeing Kyle and Holden, and she needs to go into intense therapy. Sure, on some level, Kyle may have been using the trip to Paris as an adhesive bandage, but did Claire consider the optics of even entertaining going out of town with Holden, a man whom Kyle has made his feelings about crystal clear? Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless recap for Monday, September 29th, reveals that Claire Newman will break up with Kyle Abbott before calling Holden Novak to accept his Los Angeles offer. At the Abbott mansion, Kyle will summon Claire for breakfast, partly so they can talk and partly because Harrison Abbott will be back from Milan. After Harrison hugs Claire and catches up with her, he'll get her to join Kyle in taking him to school. Later, Claire and Kyle will enjoy having a normal conversation, but they'll eventually have to address their issues. Kyle will want to know how to fix things between them, but Claire will admit she's not sure the confusion she's feeling is based on anything he did. Claire will acknowledge that she dove into this relationship quickly and didn't have the skills to cope when it got rocky. That led to Claire relying on other people's advice and opinions instead of trusting her own instincts. Now Claire will feel like she needs the room to make her own mistakes and decisions, so Kyle will realize she's breaking up with him. A tearful Claire will act like it could be good for them both in the long run, but Kyle will be upset since this isn't what he wants at all. Claire won't be saying this is forever, but she'll need to get out in the world and live on her own for a while. Since Claire will stand by her decision, she'll leave Kyle to sulk alone at the Abbott house. Next, Claire will make her way to the park, where she'll call Holden and wonder if his offer to show her LA is still open. At the Newman Ranch, Victor Newman and Nikki Newman will speak with Nick Newman and Victoria Newman about using Jill Abbott to manipulate Kane Ashby. Nick and Victoria will get updates on Jack Abbott's proposition about teaming up with Victor, so they'll worry this is a disaster waiting to happen. Nikki will also voice concerns about Victor using Jack's olive branch against him, but Victor won't see why she should care about that. As for Jill, Nikki will share some trust issues and worry she could betray them to help Kane if they rely on her for their plan. At Society, Victoria and Nick will debate the Kane situation before talk turns to Nick visiting Los Angeles for a couple weeks with Sharon Newman. At Jabot, Jack will get on a video call with Jill and urge her to come to Genoa City so she can see Kane's scheming for herself. When Billy appears in the doorway, Jack will abruptly end his Jill video chat and focus on his brother. Billy will make a pitch in hopes of getting his funding reinstated, but Jack will basically think he's too much of a wild card to trust. Besides, Jack might need that money for the corporate drama ahead, so he'll frustrate Billy by refusing to help him. In the park, Sally Spectra will tell Audra Charles that Abbott Communications might be back on track now that she's patched things up with Billy. Audra will have more concerns, but Sally will try to stay positive. A little later, Billy will look rather defeated as he approaches Sally and Audra at the coffee house. Sally will realize Jack turned Billy down on the funding, but Billy will argue this isn't over, not by a long shot. Back at the ranch on Monday's Y&R episode, Jack will show up to see if Victor's ready to strike a deal and join forces against Kane. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Victor and Jack's risky alliance will move forward soon, so stay tuned to see all the ways that could backfire and end in catastrophic news. Diane Jenkins Abbott, played by the Young and the Restless actress Susan Walters, is fiercely loyal to her family, as evidenced by her showdown with her son, Kyle's ex, Audra. Diane made sure that Audra knew Kyle had a fierce defender in his mom. Diane not only won the battle against Audra, but Walters earned out support for Performer of the Week for Y&R. Kyle had had a couple of drinks in him when he and Audra sparred at the Jazz Lounge, but he was still getting in some shots against his ex. Audra, however, is the queen of turning situations around and throwing people's past in their faces. She knows what is the most hurtful and truthful thing to say to someone, and then she says it. Fortunately, Kyle's parents, Jack and Diane, showed up, and while Kyle's dad got him away from Audra and in front of some coffee, Diane stuck around to show her how it's done on The Young and the Restless. Diane, to her credit, was willing to go in with a civil but firm tone. "I just want to clear the air," Diane stated. Sally defended Audra's attack, telling Diane that she was her friend, prompting Diane to fire back. "Sally, you know what this woman is capable of." Diane chastised Audra for playing her way into a job with Sally. Walters kept in mind Diane's much more cordial relationship with Sally, so she brought a tone of sincerity to her voice when she lamented that Abbott Communications had gone kaput. But Walters skillfully switched Diane's tone when she turned to Audra. "I am not sorry that you are back where you belong. On the street," Diane snarked. When Audra took a swipe at Diane's son, the protective mama bear said simply, "Stay away from Kyle." Diane dismissed Audra's gritty bravado by pointing out to her that she'd lost everything. When Audra brought up Kyle's advances to her in France, Walters had Diane look away, as if to acknowledge that what happened at Kane's estate wasn't necessarily Kyle's finest moment. A lesser actress would have tried to win every point, but Walters knows that viewers like to watch characters go at it the way two skilled players at Wimbledon do when they volley the ball back and forth. There's no fun in watching a tennis match that ends in 6-0, 6-0, 6-0. But when Audra brought up Diane's duplicitous past and how she faked her own death years ago on The Young and the Restless, Walters had Diane come back guns a-blazing. We saw Walters look in Sally's direction to see if Audra's hurtful description of her was making an impact on her pal. Diane likes Sally, and she doesn't want her thinking badly of her, especially as she could someday become her sister-in-law if Sally ends up marrying Billy. Yes, I have quite the history," conceded Diane about her complicated past on The Young and the Restless. "And I fully own it." Showing she was an expert in verbal jousting, Diane snarked at Audra that she was the miserable one. "My history, Audra, is also why I am on to you. What do they say these days? Game recognizes game." No matter how many times Audra came back with her version of things, Diane fired back until she made her point. "What you want deep down isn't for Kyle to suffer," Diane debated. "You want him all for yourself, and you're just throwing tantrums and making scenes because you know you will never ever have him." Game, set, match. Once they were back at the Abbott mansion, Diane admitted to Kyle and Jack that she shouldn't have lowered herself to Audra's level, but that she enjoyed telling her off. Viewers enjoyed it too. Brava to Walters, one of daytime TV's most solid and dynamic performers, who always brings her A game to her work. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Sally Spectra is dooming herself for more heartbreak. Sally should have kicked Billy Abbott to the curb, but now she'll only have herself to blame when he hurts her again. Sally threw away an amazing career at Marchetti, where she was growing more successful every day. Despite Sally's talent and passion for fashion, she gave it all up to join Billy at Abbott Communications. Unfortunately, Billy's fixation on Chancellor has been a huge problem throughout their relationship. Billy's need to prove something to Jill Abbott and go after revenge on Victor Newman have definitely affected his romance. Y&R fans know Billy ultimately pushed Jack Abbott to take his funding back and went all in on a Kane-Ashby alliance that fell through immediately. As for Sally, she's just been waiting for Billy to finally put her first for once. It's not asking too much for Billy to put Sally before Chancellor and all his vengeful cravings. Billy claims he's ready to do things right this time and make Sally his number one. But is he actually capable of that? Based on Billy's track record, it's tough to believe he'll genuinely change. And even if he does, it won't be for very long. Billy is hoping to get the funding for Abbott Communications back and move forward with jump-starting this media company. But there are no guarantees. Regardless, Billy was way too willing to ruin everything Sally worked for and let his own selfish desires take center stage. Does Sally honestly believe Billy won't do it again if given the chance? If Billy's history is any indication, there's just no way he'll truly make Sally the priority and give her the attention she deserves. Sally, understandably, still seems to be struggling with some reservations based on some of her dialogue and nervous looks in the September 26th episode. Even if Billy can get past his Chancellor obsession, there'll inevitably be something else that'll get his attention and cause him to blow things up with Sally all over again. That's just in Billy's nature, so Sally may eventually wish she'd listened to her instincts instead of getting swept up in Billy's latest promises. Sally's decision to move forward with Billy instead of dumping him may lead to major regrets in the end. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Sally may have some troubling news in her future, so stick with us for more updates on the next round of Billy drama. Here is your weekly recap of The Young and the Restless for the episodes that aired September 22nd through 26th, 2025. This week on The Young and the Restless, Billy confronted Kane and was livid to find Kane meeting with Phyllis and Michael. Billy threatened revenge against Kane. Kane assigned Michael to fix the situation with Billy, but Michael's attempt to reason with Billy fell on deaf ears. Billy suggested he and Jack team up against Kane, but Jack and Diane worried that Billy was out of control. Kane refused to give in to Victor's attempt to blackmail him into using his AI to destroy Jabot. Jack later proposed that he and Victor take Kane down together. Tracy returned to town and shared a warm reunion with Kane. Michael staged a romantic dinner for Lauren, but she demanded to know what he was hiding. Lauren wasn't happy to hear Michael had accepted a job as Kane's fixer, but she was relieved her husband wasn't working for Victor. Kane dodged Michael's questions about Kane's ultimate goals. Michael confessed to Kane that he planned to stop Kane from hurting anyone Michael cared about. Kane ordered Michael to walk away, and the men amicably parted ways. Holden invited Claire to platonically join him on a business trip to L.A. But she declined. Holden agreed to respect that Claire was in a relationship. Victoria advised Kyle to fight for Claire. Claire admitted to Victoria that Holden was getting to her, and she contemplated whether she needed more experience before committing to one person. Sally and Audra considered starting a new business venture together. Sally intervened to stop an explosive public argument between Audra and a drunken Kyle. Audra also clashed with Diane, who accused Audra of wanting Kyle for herself. Sally excoriated Billy for gambling with her future, and she forced him to choose between her and Chancellor. Billy insisted that he'd put Sally first. Billy and Sally reunited by making love, but she hesitated to move forward with their plans to move in together. Tessa decided to try to piece together what had happened to Mariah by visiting the hotel where Mariah had stayed on her business trip. Daniel offered to join Tessa to aid in her investigation. On The Young and the Restless, we have a number of feisty females who are driven, fearless, and motivated to live their best lives. They don't let anything or anyone stop them from pursuing their goals and dreams. Here are just 3 Genoa City women who have struggled with a variety of obstacles, but every time life knocks them down, they get right back on their feet and find a way to keep on going. Sally Spectra went toe-to-toe with the likes of billionaire Dollar Bill Spencer when she was on The Bold and the Beautiful, and that alone is saying something. In her earlier years on The Young and the Restless, she was in cahoots with Tara Locke to get Summer Newman to move to Milan in order to break up Summer and Kyle. Since then, Sally has moved on from her bad girl ways and grown as a person, but her personality is still as fiery as her red hair. She is never afraid to speak her mind and call other characters out on their questionable behavior, not even her closest friend, Audra. Sally always stands up for herself, both in business dealings and in her personal life. The minute she got Adam to admit that he cheated on her with Chelsea, Sally left him in the dust. She will not put up with dishonesty or secrets in a relationship. She knows she deserves better. Sally knows her worth and values her self-esteem. Her current relationship with Billy has been emotionally exhausting for her, but she laid it on the line with him this week on The Young and the Restless. She gave him a choice, Chancellor Industries or her. Sally doesn't mince words or waste time. She gets right down to it, and we love her for it. Audra Charles is headstrong, assertive, and possesses a certain mystique because we still don't know much about her background, even though she's been a GC resident on The Young and the Restless for the past 3 years. She is ambitious and wants nothing more than to succeed in the business world, and she will do almost anything to achieve her goals. Her latest deal with the great Victor Newman came back to bite her, costing her the wonderful relationship she had with Nate. But Audra doesn't let heartbreak get her down. She plunges ahead and doesn't dwell on past mistakes. She remains determined to find a good fit for herself in business, most likely with her bestie Sally, now that Abbott Communications doesn't look like it's going to get off the ground. There are so many F words that describe Audra. She is feisty, fiery, fierce, fearless, ferocious, and fascinating. She always gets our attention and sustains it, no matter who she's talking to or sparring with. Audra illuminates every scene she is in. Without her, Y&R would be downright boring. Let's face it, Phyllis is a character who drives many of us crazy. She can be reckless and shameless, and she rarely takes no for an answer. Her constant interference in Christine and Danny's relationship after he returned to GC was proof of that. She will stop at almost nothing to get what she wants, and what she wants is for everyone in town to know she's smart and talented. She wants to be acknowledged and refuses to be ignored. Phyllis is like a runaway train, and she's gone off the rails so many times, we've stopped counting. Her alliance with Kane proves she is willing to take huge risks. We know he is a threat to Newman, Jabot, Winters, and Chancellor, but Phyllis has put herself squarely in the middle of it all. Is she making a mistake? That remains to be seen, and we can't wait to find out. It's worth noting that Sally, Audra, and Phyllis are all women Victor dislikes. Many of us would agree that alone makes them badasses. If you've rubbed Victor Newman the wrong way, that means you are your own independent and free-thinking person who doesn't feel the need to play by the mustache's rules. Young and the Restless spoilers for next week include a stunning confession from Sally Spectra and Tessa Porter's life-changing decision. We've got the latest Y&R spoilers for the week of September 29th. We're going to start with Sally and what she is confessing and to whom. As this week ended, it seems that Billy Abbott finally got a clue, and he begs Sally Spectra to make up instead of break up. I'm sorry. I just don't buy Billy backtracking on the revenge. He insisted to Sally, though, that she is the most important thing in his life. Billy says he'll stop the revenge games, put her first, get the funding back for AbbottCom, and he will work for Sally at their new startup. Against all odds, when Billy went through all this, Sally actually believed it. Billy wasted no time in getting their relationship back on track over drinks at the Jazz Lounge. He was toasting Sally, insisting he will choose her over Chancellor. Billy knows he's got to give all this up if he wants to prove himself and keep Sally. So she warned him he better never put her second or third again. He gets it and tells her, "No, I'm choosing you. I'm turning away from all of it." Sally is noticing that all of a sudden, Billy says all the right things, and he's saying he's obsessed with her, not revenge. He won't give her up. Billy is also pressing Sally to move in with him, but she wants to take things slow, which is smart. Billy does get her back into bed, which is kind of dumb for her. I mean, she cares about him. So it seems like Sally and Billy are at the moment on the same page, destined for a happily ever after. However, it sounds like something is about to go seriously wrong between Sally and Billy again, because Official Young and the Restless spoilers for next week have Sally on a video call with Billy's mom, Jill Abbott. I don't think we've ever seen them interacting like that unless it was for business reasons. So, that's who Sally is making the confession to. She's got two things to say to Jill. First, Sally says that she's fallen in love with Billy. I'm sure Jill will be happy to hear that he's got a woman in his life. But then Sally tells Jill they have a real problem, so there's a slim chance that Billy is not going to go off the rails again already. Maybe Sally just wants to warn Jill that Kane Ashby has this awful AI and that he's posing a threat to Billy and other people Jill cares about. Sally may be just giving her an informational call, or maybe Billy screwed things up again already. We'll have to wait and see. Now, let's talk about Michael Baldwin, because at the end of this week, Kane has a serious chat with him after Kane rejects Victor Newman's blackmail and the mustache walks out. Michael is playing dumb about why Victor was there, even though he knows. Kane tells him he rejected a deal from Victor. Michael then says Victor warned him about working for Kane and asks if Victor was right to warn him. Michael also is asking for details about Kane's plan, and he wants to know if Kane sees himself as a villain or a hero. So, Michael sidesteps the question and just says that everybody's worried about what Kane is going to do to Genoa City's top companies. Kane keeps pressing him, and then finally, the lawyer confesses to Kane that he doesn't want him hurting the people he cares about. So, Michael warns Kane, "Stop it, or I will stop you." Michael is prodding him about, "Are you doing these things to try and impress Lily Winters?" Kane says that Michael is not who he thought he was, and he fires him. Kane doesn't want to pay Michael to see him working against him. However, Kane does say that he respects Michael as a man. So he gets why he's doing what he's doing, but he's not going to have him sabotaging and undermining him. Michael warns Kane he's going to fight him, and he is not going to let him target the people he cares about. He lets him know that even if he's not working for Kane, he'll still be working against him from the outside, if not from the inside. Next week, despite Michael getting the heave-ho from Kane, it looks like Lauren Fenmore is having a moment. She has been pushed too far. She thought Michael was lying, but then Lauren calmed down after he came clean and said that he took this job with Kane, but he's trying to stop a war in Genoa City and keep the peace. But next week, Lauren is with her friend Nikki Newman, and she's venting. She's very unhappy. Lauren tells Nikki that she really loves Michael, but she's just not sure if she can go on this way. So it seems like Lauren doesn't like Michael being under the thumb of a powerful villain. It doesn't matter if that villain is Victor or Kane, who interestingly seems to see himself as the hero of this story. So I wonder if Nikki is going to tell Lauren about Jack Abbott proposing a truce with Victor and asking him to help target Kane together. Something must happen with Michael to push Lauren too far. Maybe he comes home and says he's not working for Kane anymore. But before Lauren can pull out the champagne, Michael may tell her what he told Kane, that he's still going to target him. He's still going to work against him, but Michael's going to do it without getting a paycheck from either Victor or Kane. So it sounds like things are getting really messy. I do hope Lauren calms down and she and Michael survive this. Fingers crossed. All right, next. We have not seen Sharon Newman in a hot minute, but she has scenes next week with Tessa. Sharon has got a major storyline coming up where she and Nick Newman head to LA to see their son, Noah Newman. There's a big story arc there with 3 new characters introduced, and Noah is opening a club in LA and winds up in some sort of danger. But before Sharon heads to LA with Nick next week, the coffee shop owner chats up her daughter-in-law, Tessa. Sharon is telling Tessa maybe she should give this thing that she's proposing a little more thought. Tessa tells Sharon that this is all she has thought about. Clearly, this is about what Daniel Romalotti and Mariah Copeland talked about. And then what Daniel and Tessa talked about, that Mariah tried to kill somebody. It wasn't self-defense, and Mariah is leaving town, doesn't know if she'll be back, wants Daniel to watch over them. Any time that Sharon has tried to get Mariah to open up to her, we've seen her daughter get mad and threaten to cut Sharon out of her life. So at least she's talking to somebody. Mariah has already pushed Tessa away, but it looks like her wife is going to try one last time to hold things together. Tessa tells Sharon that going to get answers may be the only way to save Mariah and their marriage. So, I'm assuming this is about Tessa's plan to go to the hotel where Mariah is staying and dig in and try and force some answers about exactly what happened, why it happened, what's happening. Daniel has already agreed to go along and help Tessa in whatever way he can, but it definitely has me wondering if Mariah and Tessa are doomed, and they're really going to bounce her over to Daniel. Young and the Restless is heating up next week. We've got 3 relationships on the line. Also, be sure to check out our full weekly spoilers video for the week of September 29th through October 3rd, coming soon. Y&R spoilers reveal that Phyllis Summers has uncovered far more than idle whispers about Kane Ashby's latest schemes. What she knows is nothing short of a master plan. An elaborate restructuring Kane set in motion after cutting ties with Michael Baldwin. Dismissing Michael was a gamble, but for Kane, it was the only way to close ranks and seal off potential leaks. Yet even without Michael, one obstacle looms large: Billy Abbott. Without Michael's steady legal presence, Kane has been forced to adopt a new approach. That's when Phyllis steps in, a brilliant but dangerous ally, equal parts savior and saboteur. She never trusted Michael's moral compass, and his firing gave her the perfect opening to prove her worth. With her trademark cunning, Phyllis offered Kane a meticulously crafted strategy to dismantle Billy's influence, neutralize his allies, and control the narrative, all while keeping the circle of trust tighter than ever. Her plan? Not direct confrontation, but precision strikes at the very network that props Billy up. She advised Kane to sow distrust among Billy's partners through subtle contract delays, internal audits, and procedural red tape designed to make him appear reckless and unreliable. Every delay, every compliance snag would box Billy in, frustrating him until his own temper became his undoing. But Phyllis knew image was just as powerful as paperwork. She suggested rolling out neutral stories across media channels, praising Kane's forward-thinking management style. Billy's name wouldn't be mentioned, but the subtext would be clear: out with the old, in with the new. The more defensive Billy grew, the easier it would be to paint him as unstable, a man unfit to lead. Phyllis also insisted on secrecy. No outsiders, no hired hands, only those whose motives were aligned. For her, information was power, and whoever controlled the story controlled Genoa City's reality. Kane, though wary, agreed to trust her, demanding that every move come with risk assessments to protect the plan from collapse. Then came Kane's bombshell revelation: a brewing alliance between Jack Abbott and Victor Newman. A partnership between those two titans, even temporary, could spell disaster. Jack knew Billy's weaknesses better than anyone, while Victor had the market clout to turn a stumble into a full-blown collapse. Together, they could corner Kane, drain resources, and strip him of allies before he even made his move. Phyllis quickly recalibrated. Her blueprint now included subtle diversions meant to derail both powerhouses. A media expense discrepancy here, a scheduling error there. Small issues, harmless on the surface, but just disruptive enough to scatter Jack and Victor's focus. For Kane, the mission crystallized into 2 goals: make Billy irrelevant to Jack's plans and force Victor into battles on other fronts. If Phyllis could execute both, Billy would crumble under pressure, and Kane could finally secure the upper hand. The countdown has begun for one of the most anticipated arrivals in recent The Young and the Restless history. On October 14th, veteran actress Tamara Braun will make her explosive debut as Sienna Beale, a character poised to drag Genoa City's elite into the shadowy, high-stakes world of Los Angeles noir. With Braun herself dropping hints about a mysterious Hollywood club, Fans are bracing for a storyline where secrets are currency and every handshake hides a threat. Forget the familiar drama of Genoa City's corporate boardrooms. Sienna's arrival signals a shift to a grittier, film noir-inspired landscape. She is reportedly the savvy operator of an exclusive Hollywood club, a hub where power, art, and ambition collide. This isn't just a glamorous backdrop, it's a strategic battleground where Sienna pulls the strings, connecting ambitious artists with secretive investors and navigating a world where a whisper can be more powerful than a contract. This new LA setting becomes the perfect trap for Noah Newman, who is lured by the opportunity to expand his club brand. While Noah sees a creative dream, he's stepping into a world of unwritten rules and hidden agendas. Sienna is positioned as his guide, but is she an ally or a manipulator? Her deep knowledge of the city's underbelly suggests she's playing a long game, and Noah may just be an unwitting pawn in a plot far darker than he can imagine. The most electrifying rumor swirling around Sienna's debut is her potential connection to Audra Charles. Speculation is rampant that Sienna is, in fact, Audra's long-lost biological mother. This twist would fundamentally shatter Audra's carefully constructed world. A master manipulator who thrives on control and psychological warfare, Audra would be forced to confront a vulnerability she never knew she had. Even if the rumor is merely a clever deception planted by Sienna herself, the effect is the same. It forces Audra to look over her shoulder, questioning her own history and shifting her focus from future conquests to past secrets. This potential mother-daughter dynamic promises a riveting psychological showdown between two incredibly powerful and guarded women, where the silences will speak volumes. With the addition of characters played by Roger Howarth and a determined Detective Burrow, the LA storyline is guaranteed to have legal and criminal consequences, ensuring Sienna's games will have very real stakes. As Genoa City's residents, like Nick and Sharon, are drawn to LA to check on Noah, they'll quickly discover that the city's glittering facade hides a dangerous reality, with Sienna Beale standing squarely at its epicenter. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal a preview clip has been released for the week of September 29, 2025. It shows Lauren Fenmore Baldwin turning to Nikki Newman. Sally Spectra video calls Jill Abbott. Plus, Sharon Newman tries to dissuade Tessa Porter. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Let's start off with Lauren, who just learned about Michael Baldwin's secret. What Lauren doesn't know is that Kane Ashby just terminated Michael's employment. That means Victor Newman will have no more use for Michael. Moving forward, the preview clip for next week shows a crying Lauren turning to Nikki for help. The woman tells the blonde that she loves Michael very much. However, she doesn't know if she can take it anymore. Meanwhile, Michael has warned Kane that if he can't get him to do the right thing from the inside, then he will fight him from the outside. The lawyer seems to mean it too. I don't think retirement really suits Michael. The man gets too bored and needs a mission. While Michael could help take down Kane, will it cost him Lauren? In the park, Sally will have a video chat with Jill. The redhead makes a confession to Billy Abbott's mother. Sally admits that she has fallen in love with the impulsive and reckless man. While Sally can't help her heart, she could also wonder if Billy's words can be trusted. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for the week of September 29th, reveal that the preview clip also shows Tessa meeting with Sharon. The young woman explains what she knows about Mariah Copeland's situation. Tessa will tell Sharon about Mariah's confession and the secret meeting with Daniel Romalotti Jr. Tessa plans on investigating and finding out the truth about what is going on with Mariah. While that is dangerous, Tessa will have Daniel's help. While Sharon tries to get Tessa to take some more time, the young lady says it's all she thinks about. Tessa adds that this might be the only way to save her marriage as well as Mariah. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most during the week of September 29th, 2025? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Keep watching the soap on CBS or Paramount Plus to find out what happens next. When viewers hear the name Sally Spectra, two images come to mind: fiery red hair and a fearless ambition. Before she stirred up Genoa City, Sally was already a force to be reckoned with in Los Angeles. Carving out her place on The Bold and the Beautiful, Sally first appeared in 2017 carrying the Spectra family torch with dreams of reviving her aunt's fashion house. But her rise in the high-stakes world of Forrester Creations wasn't without controversy. From the infamous camera necklace incident with her sister Coco to battles with Steffi Forrester and Bill Spencer, Sally learned early that success gained through shortcuts carries heavy consequences. Yet, with the support of Thomas Forrester, she pushed Spectra Fashions into the spotlight, proving she could compete on the same runway as the Forrester dynasty. Still, alliances in Los Angeles were fragile, and when the battles became too fierce, Sally charted a new course. Genoa City became her fresh start, a place where she could reinvent herself beyond family legacy. No longer just a designer, Sally stepped into media, communications, and marketing, quickly showing she could engineer brands as well as she once sewed gowns. Her personal life also took center stage, with Adam and Nick Newman offering her two very different visions of stability and passion. In Genoa City, Sally transformed. She wasn't just chasing romance or recognition. She became a strategist who understood that stories, not just products, define power. Between Newman Media and Chancellor Winters, she maneuvered her way through corporate rivalries, often walking a fine line between opportunity and survival. But soaps thrive on full-circle journeys, and whispers suggest Sally may one day return to Los Angeles. Whether she reopens Spectra Fashions or partners with Forrester in a bold new collaboration, her presence in LA could reignite rivalries with Steffi, challenge Hope Logan's vision, and test Thomas's loyalty all over again. Bill Spencer, ever the opportunist, would undoubtedly see her as both an asset and a threat. Back in Genoa City, her absence would not go unnoticed. Adam, who knows the darker parts of her soul, would feel her loss most deeply. Nick, steady as ever, might underestimate her ambition, only realizing too late how much she meant. Professionally, both Newman Media and Chancellor Winters would recognize the gap left behind. Sally's story has always been about reinvention. On B&B, she was the fiery upstart battling against legacy. On Y&R, she became a savvy brand architect navigating corporate wars while balancing fragile romances. A potential return to Los Angeles would not be a retreat, but a reset, a chance to prove she's no longer the woman who cut corners, but a strategist who plays the long game. Whether in Genoa City or Los Angeles, Sally Spectra embodies resilience. She doesn't just survive scandals, heartbreak, or betrayals. She turns them into fuel. And wherever her next chapter unfolds, one thing is certain. Sally won't just walk into the room. She'll own it.